For centuries, the UK has exerted a powerful draw for those born beyond these shores. Opportunities to study, to work, to settle and to prosper have driven people to journey here. The hope is straightforward: to improve their lives and the lives of their families. When it comes to immigration, it is conventional wisdom that in an economic downturn, when jobs and those opportunities are more scarce, the British people will be more inclined to wish to raise the drawbridge. But you know, it feels like perhaps something more permanent is going on. A shift that isn't just part of the economic weather, that the politicians need to realise that when they look out there, the voters are increasingly going to say no, no more. In order to gauge the state of opinion on the immigration issue, Sky News conducted an exclusive poll taking in hundreds of people up and down the country. We found that a weighty majority believe the UK population is already too large, and drastic and immediate action is needed to curb migration.
I'll give my loyalty to the United Kingdom and respect its rights and freedom.
But what of the migrants themselves? It might surprise and disappoint the men and women taking on British citizenship at this naturalisation ceremony in Brent in North London to learn that the bulk of their fellow Brits think in one way or another they are damaging the nation's fabric.
I come in here because my family here, my grandson, and my job is here.
I've decided to become British because I've got a family here, a life, a home, my children are British, so I thought I should be British as well.
I have been living here for a long time and my whole family is here now, so I have decided to become a British citizen.
Our research shows the issue doesn't just concern people who've experienced high levels of migration. Far from it. In fact, people in rural areas with less migration tend to take a strikingly harder line. Now don't forget, on top of all that, UKIP has managed to really put the frighteners on its political rivals, and immigration is one of their key policy areas. So, what are Westminster politicians going to do to respond? The Conservatives will tell you they've already made great strides in bringing down net migration. Labour and the Lib Dems are basically holding their hands up to past mistakes and saying if they get voted back here to power in 2015, they promise they'll do much better. Just round the corner are two big pressure points that are bound to sharpen the argument. First, the relaxation on movement restrictions for people from Bulgaria and Romania, which our poll shows is a major concern. And then there's the election itself. No politician can afford to ignore our evidence that a policy pledge to cut immigration would increase their support. Put crudely, surveying the nation, there is a pool of anxiety that could be turned into votes. Look to the horizon and it's clear this debate can but intensify. Joey Jones, Sky News.
Well, the Home Secretary, Theresa May, joins me now. Welcome to you. What do you say to that 2 out of 3 voters who are saying that even the government target of less than 100,000 net migrants to this country is too little?
Well, first of all, I'd say that the government understands the concerns that people have about immigration and concerns that over the years perhaps people feel politicians haven't addressed this in the way that they should. And that's what the government has been doing. But immigration overall has been good for the country. What is a problem is when immigration is not controlled, when we see it putting pressure on jobs and wages and on public services. And I think that's what people feel, and that's the main concern people have.
Tend to see it in terms of numbers. I mean, do you think more than 100,000 is too much?
Well, we've got a commitment to bringing net migration down to the tens of thousands rather than the hundreds of thousands. And, of course, it was under Labour that we saw it going up to the hundreds of thousands.
And why do you think it is a problem? I mean, people don't like it, but governments sometimes do things which people don't like because they think they're right.
Well, as I say, overall, I think immigration has been a benefit to the UK. But what is a problem?
So why do you want to stop it?
Well, what is a problem is uncontrolled immigration. And that's what we're doing. We're bringing control into the immigration system. And why is it a problem? Well, it's a problem because when it's uncontrolled, you see problems in terms of pressure on public services, on schools and hospitals, for example. You also see that there is an impact on jobs for people who are already living here in the UK. You know, some of those won't get jobs because people are coming in from abroad to get
I mean,
them.
the government is tying itself a bit into knots of this, isn't it? I mean, while you're here talking tough, if you like, on immigration, we've got the Chancellor over in China saying, actually, we didn't mean you. You're very welcome to come and visit our country.
Well, no, there's two things here, aren't there, Adam? I mean, what the Chancellor's been talking about is largely about people coming to visit the UK as tourists. And we are ensuring that the visa system that we have operates smoothly. And it's important for the economy that business people who want to come here and invest and bring jobs to the UK are able to have a visa service that meets their needs. And that's what the Chancellor's talking about. We're improving the service in China. We've been improving it in India and some other countries as well.
I mean, I've got to ask if you're OK with this, because the last time this was mooted after the Olympics, your private secretary wrote a public letter saying proposals to loosen visas for the Chinese were unacceptable.
Well, what we're doing is changing the process of people applying for visas. So this isn't about saying suddenly there's, a change in the criteria we use in making decisions.
You're saying you're welcome. You want more Chinese to come here.
We want people to come here who are going to be of benefit to the economy. And that's one of the crucial things that we've been doing as a government, is actually saying that what we want to do in the system is cut out abuse. We've cut out abuse in student visas. We're now issuing over 100,000 fewer student visas than was happening under the Labour government.
Is that a good thing?
But
we've got some of the best universities in the world. They need the money, don't they, from foreign students?
But we want people to come here as university students. But what I'm talking about is...
You're cutting the numbers.
No, Adam, if you listen to the words I say, then you will hear the message. The message is we want to cut out abuse in the numbers. That's why we're being able to reduce the number of student visas, because too many people were coming here claiming to be students and actually coming here to work. So if somebody wants to come here to do a degree at a genuine university, yes, of course we want the brightest and the best.
But if they train, they in this country, unlike in America or other countries, they're not able to stay here for a few months or a year to use their experience, though. Is that right?
Well, we've restricted that ability. There are some who, if they get a graduate job, then are able to stay on. But we don't want is a situation where students come here, they do a degree, and they just carry on staying here, not doing a graduate work. And we found that actually those who were brought up over here as supposedly the highly talented, about a third of them were doing jobs like working in pizza parlours and things like that, which is not what that route was intended for.
Make ends meet. Anyway, let's listen to what some of our viewers have been saying about immigration.
Personally, I think they're taking too many jobs, and I think they all need to go get jobs where they were actually born and bred. If they're born and bred in this country, fine, but them that are coming in afterwards shouldn't even be here.
I think immigration should have been restricted to the people who fought for England in the war, because I think they put their lives on the line for the country, whereas the people who come in now haven't done.
Problem is in Eastern European peoples, and here I am not against them, but the problem is they're not working. They get all the benefit, they get houses benefit, they get a free of charge everything. So we working for day and night, when paid for them, our tax money should the government paid them.
There's far too many immigrations in the country. Everybody's struggling now with benefits and money and everything else, and with extra people in, it's just making it harder and harder for British citizens.
Well, obviously some people are sharing concerns about immigration. What is the problem? Is the problem that net you think immigrants are a burden on the welfare state? Or is it that they're actually coming here working, paying taxes, but taking British jobs?
Well, what we want to do and what we're doing in the system is trying to make sure that those who come here are people who want to contribute to the UK economy.
And the bulk do, as I understand it.
And it's not people coming here wanting to gain benefits. So what we're doing, I mean, in that Vox Pop, some people were raising the concern about people getting access to benefits. We're tightening up the rules on people coming here and having access to benefits. We're tightening up rules in a number of other areas as well. And crucially, I think what we need to do is to ensure that people are coming here to contribute to the economy. But under Labour, there was an assumption that immigration had no impact on jobs. I said that doesn't sound right, and it does have some impact on jobs. Not a one-to-one basis, but it does have an impact on jobs.
Do you think you are guilty a little bit of scaremongering on this, in the sense that I know you were thinking about measures on, you know, people abusing the NHS, and actually, when you looked into it, you found the doctor said there weren't that many people abusing the NHS. Likewise, people have a false impression, we know from opinion polls, of the number of immigrants and former foreigners that there are now in our society.
Well, first of all, on the point you make about the NHS, in fact, the Department of Health has been doing some work on this, and they expect to be able to come forward with some proposals.
But they didn't come up with anything eye-catching, which is why it's not in the immigration bill.
No, they're doing the sensible thing, which is looking at this properly, assessing it, talking to GPs and others about what is going to work in the health service, because we do want to ensure that people aren't coming over here and abusing the health service. It's a national health service, not an international health service, and I think we need to react in that accordingly.
Well, what about the overall numbers? You know, because one of the things our poll shows is that people who have least experience of migrants are actually the people who are most hostile towards them, and that would suggest that someone somewhere in the political system is whipping up a bit of a false fear.
No, I note the point, and I think it's a really interesting finding from the Sky poll that those who live in areas where there are least likely to be migrants living are actually those who have most strongest feelings about this. I don't think this government has not been scaremongering.
I mean, to have those feelings?
This government has not been scaremongering, as you suggest, Adam. For a long time under Labour,
haven't you?
No, for a long time under Labour, what we saw was people not being willing to talk about the immigration issue, and the Labour Party just not having any controls on immigration. So we saw, you know, something like over 2 million people over 10 years under Labour coming here to the UK. What we have done is very clearly, when we were in opposition and now in government, saying we recognise this is an issue, but let's approach it in the right way, which is to look across the board, to tighten up on our rules, to ensure that people who are coming here are those who want to contribute to the UK economy, and that we bring the brightest and the best into the UK, and people aren't coming here to abuse our systems.
And finally, a lot of people we spoke to said, and now in January we're going to have Bulgarians and Romanians coming here. Now, you, like other EU countries, put restrictions on their freedom of movement, but those are lifted in January. So, A, how many do you think are going to come? And B, what are you going to do about it?
Well, the restrictions are lifted, as you say, not just for us, but for other countries like Germany as well. And what are we doing about it? We're already tightening up on some of the rules, such as around access to benefits for people who are coming here and looking for work. And that can be done without having to put it through an Act of Parliament. We're able to tighten up on some of those rules anyway, and that's exactly what we're doing. But we've also got a major immigration bill coming forward in the next... we published it last week.
It won't do a lot about EU immigration, though, will it?
We've got a major new immigration bill which will make it easier for us to deal with those who are living here illegally. But we're already tightening up in relation to EU migration. We're already tightening up on those who are abusing the free movement rule. And I'm happy to say I've been talking about abuse of free movement in Europe for 3 years, Adam, and now even the European Commission agrees with me.
Well, congratulations on that, Home Secretary. Thank you.